Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of the Hare Krishnas in Britain podcast. This is episode number 34. This is a regular podcast where we virtually travel largely around the UK and other parts of the world to chat to devotees, to find out about what devotees are doing with their projects, their initiatives, their service. Most of the guests over the last 34 episodes have been either from Britain or in Britain. But because we're a project that not only preaches inclusion, we also practice inclusion. Every now and then we allow devotees from outside of the British Isles to connect with us and to share their stories. And I'm really pleased to welcome our guest this week. We've been in touch on social media for probably at least a year. And finally, we've managed to get this date in the diary for this podcast. I'm really pleased to welcome Vijaya Krsna dasa. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Narada Prabhu, my obeisances.
Dandavat pranams.
Dandavat pranams.
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Garanga.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's great to have you with us. And this is another kind of record-breaking, historic podcast. You are the first guest. I mean, I'm trying to go back over the last 33 in my head. You are the first guest, the first ever disciple of Srila Bhakti Narayan Goswami Maharaj to appear on the show, which is fantastic. And that's not because God siblings of yours haven't been invited in the past. It's just the first time that the diaries have matched and I've been able to get someone to tune in at this time. So Vijaya Krsna dasa, you're I'll just explain a bit about you and then I'll kind of leave the floor to you to talk a bit about your background. So you're currently serving your main service. You're the temple president of the International Pure Bhakti Yoga Society in Portugal. And you're based on or in the Azores Islands, which is part of the kind of Portuguese territory. Portugal, similar to Britain, has got a bit of historic empire. Britain's is probably a bit bigger than Portugal's, but Portugal has a little bit of an empire historically. And you're based on the Azores Islands, which is where you are now. So Prabhuji, tell us a bit about you, your background and where you're from.
Well, I was born in Brazil, born from Portuguese father and Brazilian mother, because my father used to my father was born in Portugal and he used to, because of his job, his work, he used to travel back and forth. He would go to Brazil and then stay there for a while. Then he would come back to Portugal, and he met my mother in Brazil due to his working travels. And this going to Brazil and coming back went on until for a long time, related to our family life. And yes, he met my mother. Yes, they married in Brazil, and then oh my God.
It's okay. I mean, just what you can remember and what you want to share.
Yes, but this is important. They got married in Brazil, and yes, and they came to Portugal already married. They have my three first siblings, all Portuguese, 2 sisters and 1 brother. Then they went back to Brazil, and they had me and my 3 younger siblings, one sister and and 2 brothers. So I am in the middle. I am the first Brazilian son, and so I have 3 Portuguese siblings and 3 Brazilian siblings, and I am in the middle.
Wow. So you're one of 7.
I am one of 7. Yes.
Wow. That's a lot of children.
And I think it's important to say that, related to why is it that I became a Hare Krishna, because of the character of my parents. Both of them were very pious. All the symptoms. My father is already. He already passed. He already left his body. But all the symptoms were there related to being a pious character. My father didn't have higher instruction. If I'm not wrong, he went to school only for the first 4 years, and then I think he left school. But on the contrary, my mother, she almost became she did natural sciences in university in Brazil, and I think she was trying to become become a doctor, the medicine course also. But then they got married, and they came to Portugal. Like I already said, they have the 3 first sons. Then they went back to Brazil. They have me, the other my 3 younger siblings, and then we all came back to Portugal. Yes. And when I came to Portugal for the first time, I was born in Brazil, and when I came back to Portugal, I was only 5 years old. And one thing that is important to say is that when this is still related to why is it that I became a Hare Krishna. Only 5 years old, but my father used to take me to my grandmother, his mother. And what is it that I was there doing in the presence of my grandmother? I would sit down, cross-legged, 5 years old, and I would describe to my grandmother about all that was happening in Brazil, because my grandmother was curious about the life in Brazil. So she would be there asking from her grandson, tell me about what is it that Brazil is like. And then 5 years old, I would sit down, Lord's Crest, and I would speak for a long time in her. She was seated like on a Vyasa-san, a very big lady, very tall and strong. And I was there like conversing with some kind of authority on the lower level, seated on the floor, and she was seated on her chair like on a Vyasa-san, and we would converse for a long time. And this was happening on a daily basis. So now when I remind myself of these pastimes with my grandmother, I can see that this is all some sort of meant to be that I would, in relation to what I would do with my life in the future. In some way, I would be there engaging myself in speaking, like teachers do, and so the natural talent, the natural inclination for wanting to speak was already there, and it was being cultivated by my relatives, my father, my grandmother, and I took my first lessons in English from my older sister. I was not in school yet, and my older sister was already in school, and she would school me homeschooling, related to teaching me how to speak English, because she was very good in English. So I was very young, and she was already doing homeschooling related to teaching me how to speak English. So these were my beginnings. And I'm speaking about this because now that I am 60 years old, and I am a Hare Krishna, and I am a communicator, because I will tell you later about what is it that I am doing now in related to being temple president of a Hare Krishna temple. You do need to give classes. You being a temple president, in my particular case, is also the same as to be a preacher. So speaking in different languages is needed, is required when you are a temple president of a Hare Krishna temple, because this is an international movement. At least speaking your first language, and then your second language, preferably being English, because this is an international movement. So all these symptoms were already there when I was a child. And then my mother insisted with my father related to giving us the best schools. And in the understanding of my mother, best schools were related to the teachers being somehow related to priesthood. So I went my 4 first years in school. I don't know the word in English for Salesianos. It's a Catholic order of priests founded by the Italian saint João Bosco. And he founded this Catholic order in order to help orphans. And it became an international order. And one of the services offered to the public by this Catholic order was the opening of schools, connected, of course, with the syllabus required by the government of any country, because these schools were being established all around the world. And my mother insisted with my father, I want my children to go to the Salesianos school, related to this Catholic order. And my first 4 years were very rigid, because the discipline and how much they would be there requiring from you good behavior and mostly good behavior in the sense that they wouldn't allow you to do mistakes. For example, 1 + 1 is 2. If you would be there saying 1 + 1 is 5, they would become very angry. And at that time, in schools, even Catholic schools, there was allowance for using physical aggression.
Mm.
So we were raised in a system. I was raised in a system very rigid in related to better be safe than sorry. Better to become a good student, otherwise you are risking to become beaten up by the teachers. And that was common in Portugal, not only in Catholic schools, in all schools. That was the system that the teachers would use in order to teach the pupils, the students, and it was allowed by the government. And in family life in Portugal at that time, it was normal for the parents to beat up their children in order to discipline the children. So what is it that we were choosing to do? Afraid of being beaten up, we would behave, and we would choose for good behavior, and we would choose for studying and giving our best in order to not dissatisfy the teacher. So of course, the obvious end result of such an education is that you cannot escape from becoming a cultured individual, a learned person. I know how to read, I know how to write, I know how to count, and much more than that. This is the same as to say that I am not any Hare Krishna, because as a temple president, as a Hare Krishna for almost 50 years, I have been noticing that Hare Krishna devotees are of all sorts, related to background and performance, quality of devotional performance based on the material background. We didn't have at the time gurukulas to be trained, so the training we had in terms of becoming learned individuals, learned human beings, cultured human beings, was not derived from gurukula, because gurukula at that time, gurukulas were not existing. Gurukulas in a worldwide way started to exist after Srila Prabhupada came to the West. So the system related to educating people was totally different from Gurukula, and then with your material background before you become a Hare Krishna, that is the material background you will use in order to function and operate as a Hare Krishna, at least during the while walking your baby steps related to the process of Krishna consciousness. And when I became a Hare Krishna, I was there already with a very good luggage.
So it sounds like you were very philosophical from a young age. You used to think deeply about issues from the age of 5 or 6 years old.
Yes, between 5 and 10 years old, I was already very philosophical, very inquisitive.
So tell us a bit about how you met the devotees. How did you discover the Hare Krishnas, and where were you? Was this in Portugal?
No, it was in Brazil.
In Brazil, okay.
So So we came back to Portugal, and then I started my education in the Catholic school. Then I went for the following years of education in school, and then the revolution in Portugal happened because we had 50 years of fascist dictatorship in Portugal. And in April of 1975, the democratic revolution happened. And when it happened, we went back to Brazil. And I was very hopeful that we would go back to Brazil, because at that time I was already a teenager, 15 years old, and I was not pleased with with the way life was treating me, in the sense that the social environment where I used to live as a teenager was not favorable, in the sense that because my natural propensity for researching about the meaning of life was not being encouraged by my neighbors, and I didn't have friends at the time, because I'm a very reclusive person. Since I was born, since childhood, I don't like to go out of home. My father would force me, go out and play with football with the neighbors and make friends. And I said, I couldn't care less about going out, because I feel comfortable inside the house, and I would entertain myself. I would find things to do inside the house in order to become satisfied, and I didn't see any sense in like feeling that outside it is dangerous, and I do not want to hurt myself. I like to feel secure and comfortable, so do not invite me. I would say to my father, do not force me to go out, because I won't do it. I feel comfortable here, and I have the feeling that outside it's dangerous. So allow me to stay here. And he did. He didn't force me. And then and I had a few experiences related to being criticized by the neighbors and the possible friends, if I would be there cultivating friendship with them, which I didn't. And then when I sensed it, oh, these people are not as sensitive as I am. They're not interested in what I am interested. So I don't feel this would be a waste of time. So back home, and then when the democratic revolution happened, my parents decided to go back to Brazil, and I was very eager to go back to Brazil in order to free myself from my social environment, which was not very encouraging, related to helping me to develop this inquisitive and philosophical tendency. I was really wanting to know about the meaning of life. And then I thought to myself, maybe if I go back to Brazil now, and I free myself from all these difficulties related to my social environment, which is not there allowing me to grow philosophically and as a human being in the sense of becoming complete. Maybe in Brazil I will get the chance to fulfill these philosophical needs of mine, and it happened. I I went to school in Brazil. We went to Brazil. I went to school to finish my education, and the first schoolmate I related to, her name was Ananda. It was a female schoolmate, and she was fan of the Beatles, and she specifically George Harrison. She was amongst the Beatles. She was very fond of George Harrison, so she knew everything about the Hare Krishnas. So as soon as I get to Brazil, I go to school to finish my education, the 3 years left that I needed to do before going to university. And I find this Ananda, a female schoolmate, and she was the first one who introduced me to the movement. We had a very close relationship. I would visit her in her house, with her family, and we would spend a lot of time in her room in order for her to show me everything about the Beatles and the Hare Krishna movement. So at that very moment, it all started. I sensed it that, oh, this is the beginning of the answering to my existential questions. Who I am, why is it that I am alive, what is the purpose of life, is it that I was alive before taking birth, is it that I'm going to be alive after dying, and I do not want to die. I have an inner feeling that I am immortal. So this Ananda Mataji, she made me feel that the Hare Krishna movement was capable of answering all these existential questions in order to put me on the right track, mostly related to realizing my immortality. Because I had, since childhood, I had this inner feeling that I am that I am eternal, and I sensed it by the teachings of Mother Ananda. I sensed it. Oh, the Hare Krishna movement perhaps is the religious, the movement and philosophical movement which could be there helping me in relation to fulfill these inquiries. And
so how old were you at the time when you met Ananda and you were discovering 15? So Ananda, that was her devotional name, or that was her birth name that her parents gave her?
Birth name.
Her birth name, Ananda.
Because I think that her parents already knew something about India, and
yeah. I just find the timing very interesting. So this was around 1975.
Yes, 1975, 1976, yes.
And she was also around 15.
Yes, more or less, yes.
So she was born around 1960, 1961, which was obviously before Srila Prabhupada went to the West. So yes, I mean, there was some connection with India, but in terms of Gaudiya Vaishnavism in the West, it was pretty much non-existent, pretty much. So I'm just very intrigued by that. People that are interested in Krishna consciousness. So, so tell us a bit about then, what did you do? Did you go and search for, other than Ananda and her family, did you go and visit the local Hare Krishna temple? Did you go and meet devotees elsewhere?
No, I had to wait for 3 years until I finished my previous education related to university. Then my family, after I end the 3 remaining years before entering university, okay, I end these 3 years and then I'm ready to go to university, but my family moves to the north of Brazil. And because I was already 18 years old and I was major in age, I was not a minor, I was major in age, 18 years old in Brazil at that time. So I could disconnect myself from my family.
Yeah.
And why is it that I disconnected myself from my family? Because oh my God, 18, yes. Simultaneously with entering the university and my family moving to the north of Brazil, because we were inhabiting in the south of Brazil, border with Argentina. Porto Alegre, the name of the city, capital of the state of Rio Grande do Sul. So my family moved to the north, Paraná, the name of the state, capital city Curitiba. They moved, and when they were moving, I was entering my first year of university, and when I entered the first year of university, it happened for me to see a poster on a board about a dance school, and something that I need to tell you. My whole life, since childhood, I was very fond of dancing. I would use the vinyl records. I would go alone to the room inside my house, and I would put the record to play, and I would dance spontaneously. I would create choreographies. And when I was entering, and this went on for many years. I was a dancer, a spontaneous dancer, and when I was entering university, the first year, I saw a poster with a beautiful ballerina, and asking for male dancers, because in Brazil the culture is very masculine. There are no they consider ballet dance only for female, so not many male ballet dancers in Brazil at that time. So the poster was requesting male dancers, and I went to the school dance to offer myself as a male dancer without knowing nothing about ballet, because I was spontaneous. I was doing my dances at home without a teacher. So I knew nothing about technique related to ballet or any other type of dance, jazz, modern dance, nothing of technique. So I went to the school of dance and I asked them, can you accept me as a male dancer? And for them to accept me, they tested me. So we want to see you how the quality of your spontaneous dance without any technique. And I showed them, I prepared at home a dance. No, I didn't prepare. I think I chose the music at home, and I went to the studio with an audience, a big audience, all the pupils of the school, the director of the school, everyone was there. And I showed them a spontaneous dance with the chosen music. And the director of the school said, okay, we will give you a scholarship.
Yes.
You can stay living inside the school. They gave me everything. And because they gave me everything, they gave me place to stay, and they gave me the for free the scholarship, because I wanted to learn the techniques of ballet and other types of dance. I stayed at the school, and my family moved to the north, and I stayed at the school doing the university course of philosophy together with the course in the dance school. So and I take it that the course in the dance school, it was like some type of physical yoga.
Yeah.
So my beginning in physical yoga started with this dance school. At the beginning, I was learning how to dance ballet, jazz, modern dance, everything, with teachers from all over the world, because this school was inviting teachers from all over the world, very good teachers. So I had a very good dance education. But and simultaneously, I was doing the philosophy course in university. And I was, and all these activities were there purifying my contaminations, which were there blocking my understanding about how to get the answers to the existential questions, and what to do with my life in the spiritual sense, in the philosophical sense. So the dance school, the university experience were there. Removing from the inside of me all the contaminations which were there blocking my philosophical and spiritual understanding related to the right understanding. So the dance course scholarship lasted for 4 years. The university course lasted for 4 years. And I was done. And when I finished the dance course, I was already a asana yogi, hatha yogi. I evolved from learning how to dance the materialistic dances, types of dance. Spontaneously, I changed, because at a certain moment, I said goodbye to the school. Interestingly, I said goodbye because I wanted from the director to allow me to give me more time for training, because I wanted to be a first dancer, ballet dancer, and for that you need many hours of training. And the director needed me to become also a teacher in the school, because I became a teacher in the school. And I said to the director, I don't want to be a teacher. I want to become a first ballet dancer. And for that, I need more time for training. You are not giving me enough time for training. So I won't stay if you insist on asking me to give classes, to be a teacher in the school. Because if I do it, I will not have enough time to train myself in order to become a first ballet dancer. Yeah. And she didn't move from her decision. I didn't move from my decision, and we disconnected ourselves from each other. And I went for some time as a freelancer. Yeah. As a ballet, as a dancer, as a choreographer, and as a teacher. And the situation evolved from disconnecting myself from dance and connecting myself with educating my body in the physical way related to mostly the asanas, hatha yoga. I was and I felt at a certain moment of my practice of asana yoga, hatha yoga, I felt that I was there reaching the top in relation to perfection. So all these activities were there purifying me from my contaminations, and then the university course ended. I got my diploma as a bachelor in philosophy and licensed in philosophy. I became a teacher, and I finished the university course. I finished my yoga practice, and I was already a vegetarian without knowing the Hare Krishnas. Gradually, I changed from meat eating to meat eating, egg eating, and fish eating to vegetarian because of all these activities, purifying activities. So, and then I meet the Hare Krishnas in a very, very already substantial way in relation to purification, where I see the Hare Krishnas chanting in the park, a group of Hare Krishnas chanting Hare Krishna in the park near the Hare Krishna temple, which I was not there knowing that were existing.
Yes.
Was existing. So they were moving from the park and they were going to the temple, and I followed them. Because I had when they were dancing, it was like God telling me, I want you to join them. The dance, it was not only the dance, it was also God inside my heart telling, making it as beautiful as needed in order to give me the following information. Yes, it is a very beautiful dance, and I am making it even more beautiful in order to attract you, because I want you to join them. And like hypnotized, I followed them to the temple. And my connection with the Hare Krishna movement started. I went to the temple. There was an evening program with the evening program with Bhagavad Gita class. Puja.
Arti puja.
Arti.
Darshan.
Yes.
Prasadam, Kirtan.
Class, Bhagavad Gita class, and prasadam.
Yeah.
I didn't like the class. I didn't like the class because of the physical, the movement of the body of the speaker and the sound of the voice, and I was there knowing nothing about the Bhagavad Gita, so it was all very, very strange. But I like the prasadam.
Most people do.
So I like the prasadam, and the prasadam made me understand, hooked me. Like I said to myself, I want to taste this food forever. I am already a vegetarian, but I do not know how to cook in this way. These Hare Krishnas, they know how to cook vegetarian better than me and more tasteful than me. So I want to learn, and I want to be a cook who know of this kind of food for me to eat. At that time, only for me to eat, because I was not thinking about becoming a preacher yet. So prasada hooked me, not the association of devotees. The dance and chant of Hare Krishna hooked me, and the prasada. And then I got my first Bhagavad Gita. I devoured it, and I felt all my existential questions are answered. The Bhaktivedanta purport of Srila Prabhupada to Bhagavad Gita answered all my existential questions, and I said to myself, now I need to learn how to put it in practice, all the theoretical instructions given in Bhagavad Gita by Srila Prabhupada. And then I forced myself to join the temple. I joined the temple for a few days, but it happened that my father sent me the ticket for me too, because after going up to the north of Brazil, my family moved to Portugal again, came back to Portugal again, and I stayed alone in Brazil, finishing my philosophical, spiritual, university, all my education was complete. And then the ticket came, and the beginning of my Hare Krishna education started when the plane ticket came. So when I come to Portugal, my education is already finished, but the beginning of my Hare Krishna education is starting. And I try to connect myself with the Portuguese devotees, and then I moved to the Old Porto's temple in the north of Portugal, and that is my first experience as a resident in a temple.
So this was the early 1980s, right? 1980,
85 already.
85.
When I come back to Portugal,
okay.
85. And
okay.
Then I am invited to become a resident in a temple for the first time.
So this was an ISKCON temple in Portugal in the mid 1980s.
Yes.
So how long did you stay there for?
4 or 5 years.
Okay. Okay.
But the temple was functioning in such a way that I was always I wanted for the temple to what I call to give me not special treatment.
We're all special.
but the temple was not able to give me what Srila Prabhupada was giving to me in Bhagavad Gita, in relation to putting theory in practice. I wanted more study of the scriptures, more reading, less book selling. I wanted to go deep in order to, because I was suspecting from reading Bhagavad Gita that Srimad Bhagavatam was there and was not being studied, and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita also was there already, and it was not being studied in the way I would like for it to be studied in the temple. So so otherwise I would be there staying more time in the temple. But after 4 or 5 years, I moved to Lisbon.
Yeah.
To Eastern Lisbon, from north of Portugal to Eastern Lisbon. So in the first temple, I wanted to deepen my studies related to the scriptures, and the temple presidency was there needing for the devotees to engage the devotees in book distribution. And I was not pleased with that, and 4 or 5 years after I moved to Lisbon, And what in Lisbon? Yes. And then I began I began my private connection with outside. I stopped living as a temple resident. And but visiting the temple in order always hoping to get initiation.
So at this point, by around 1990, you still hadn't been initiated in that formal sense.
No.
Okay.
So many years practicing without being initiated.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that in Lisbon, ISKCON Libra would give me initiation, but no, they wouldn't give me. And then comes Narayan Maharaj's mission to the rescue.
So this was the mid-90s, because I think Narayan Maharaj first came in 1996 to Europe. 1995, maybe.
I'm not sure about that. I know that he visited United States of America. I think 2 times. But about visiting Europe, I don't know when. Because I never had personal darshan. I never met Narayan Maharaj in person.
Okay.
So ISKCON Lisbon wouldn't give me initiation. And one follower of Narayan Maharaj, coming from England regularly to visit ISKCON Lisbon, he would come regularly and he would see me serving the temple as an outsider, because at that time I was living outside, but near the temple, and I would drive the van for the temple, for Food for Life program. So I was very connected with ISKCON at that time, but living outside. And this follower of Narayan Maharaj, coming from England, from London regularly to visit ISKCON Lisbon, he would come regularly. He would come and go. He would see me serving with lots of passion, driving the van, serving the homeless with Food for Life, and cleaning the temple, and very engaged. And he would ask me, where is your initiation? Why is it that the temple presidency is not giving you initiation? You are serving better than anyone else, even better than the ones who live inside the temple, and you live outside. You have this difficulty against your service, your devotional service, but still you are so determined and so devoted that you come from living outside, you serve the temple, you go back to your home, and still they are not giving you initiation. And then he asked the question, do you want to get initiated by Narayan Maharaj? And I said, of course I want. And okay, I will arrange for. And why is it that I said yes? Because there is this period of six months now, or that we cultivate with the temple president and with the guru, from whom we want to be initiated. And but there's nothing of the sort with Narayan Maharaj. This follower asked me, you want to be, after all these years of service to ISKCON, you still want to become initiated? Are you wanting to wait more time? No, I don't want to wait more. I want to experience what is to be initiated. And I said yes. If you can recommend me to Narayan Maharaj, do it, because I want to go for the following experience, which is, what is it like to be initiated?
I mean, this is one of the things that people struggle with ISKCON still today. There's this long process to get to initiation. Now, in the UK, that 6-month process is now, I think, 2 years. Certainly with the major temples, you have to be, you know, reading the books, filling out the forms every day, the time you wake up in the morning. You have to do that for 2 years. Actually, I'm not going to name the guru, but one of the ISKCON gurus is a bit more rebellious, a bit more progressive, I guess. He calls it, instead of the mentorship system, he calls it the tormentorship system.
The what?
Torment, you know, to torment.
Oh, torment. Yeah.
Tormentorship system. Now, I spent some instead of the mentorship system, the tormentorship system.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
I mean, I've spent a few years studying different mats, and most of the mats outside of ISKCON, they do what Prabhupada used to do in the 60s in terms of initiate straight away, or certainly after a few weeks. Initiate means to start. So it's the start of your, I mean, you have to kind of suss someone out first and get to know them. But ultimately, you know, I'm not of the view it should take 2 or 3 years to be initiated if you're following the process. So I can understand your frustration.
Sorry, Prabhu. What do you think, if I may ask, what do you think about it, waiting 2 to 3 years for being initiated?
My personal view is it's far too long. And it's too long. And I know some devotees who have left ISKCON and gone to other mats because it's just too long. So I know 2 devotees who followed it for 2 years. They were then told by their potential guru to read the books again, do the exam again, and they were like, we've had enough of this. And they actually took initiation in the Nityananda line in the end, not even in the Sarasvat line. They just had enough completely. And it actually, you know, and what it does for a lot of people, it puts them off Krishna consciousness completely. They think that Krishna consciousness is about rules and regulation. Yes, there are regulations we should try and follow and try and adhere to, but ultimately our relationship with our guru, with Krishna, with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu should be a personal, intimate thing, like a relationship with a spouse or a child or a parent. So it puts people off. So I think in the long-winded way, I'm saying I completely share your frustration and your concern that, you know, you hear about this wonderful guru coming from India in, I think, the mid 1990s or early 1990s, you know, offering something a bit different. And it's attractive. It's attractive.
But Prabhu, I was not frustrated. I was very patient because one of the items, you know better than me from Nectar of Instruction, in order to cultivate pure devotional service is to be patient. And I was being taught by ISKCON as such. So I was there cultivating patience. But the one thing I wanted, there's a saying, do not ask for God to come to your presence. Act in such a way that God will become interested in you.
Yeah, I think that's a quote of Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, I think.
Yes, I think.
Yeah.
And then when this follower of Narayan Maharaj came to me in such a way that I felt, oh, this follower of Narayan Maharaj recognizes me as someone useful to the movement, to Lord Chaitanya's movement. It doesn't matter if it is ISKCON or not ISKCON. Lord Chaitanya's movement is one movement only. Okay, different groups, but the movement is only one. So, and this servant of Lord Chaitanya's movement looks at recognizes my service as useful to the movement in order to favor the movement. And this is what I want. I want to be recommended. I don't want to become initiated because I am asking to the temple president. No, I want someone to come to me and say, hey, your service is useful, so we need you. And it happened for me. I was very fortunate because this servant of Narayan Maharaj, he came in this mood. I will recommend you. I didn't ask him. I didn't even know if he was there knowing about Narayan Maharaj. I would see him coming from England and going, and but I was not knowing about him and about his spiritual life. I sensed it, that he was a sympathizer, at least related to Lord Chaitanya's movement, and suddenly out of who knows what, he tells me, your service is of good quality. I think that you are ready to be initiated, so I will recommend you. So it was not that I asked for being initiated. Someone came to me. He said, "We need you." And in this way, I think that the saying of Bhakti Gita happened in the practical way for me. I was acting in such a way that someone recognized me.
So, I mean, I don't want to dwell on this too much, but why didn't ISKCON initiate you? Why? I mean, you don't have to answer that, but I mean, it sounds like after 10 years of service, it's like they're just taking the mickey, really. I mean, that's a polite way to put it. You know, taking advantage.
I cannot. Until today, they never told me.
Okay.
That is in relation to Vaishnava etiquette. That is the proper answer. I do not have any other answer other than to tell you that until today they never called me in private. Oh, we know that you are waiting for being initiated. You see other people becoming initiated. You are so dedicated. Nothing. They never, and they had their reasons. I'm not here to judge them. Mostly in the bad way. They were the authorities, and I respect them until today. They have their train of thought related. Is it that my name is Victor, my material name is Victor? Is it that Bhakti Victor Prabhu is already ready for initiation? In their minds, they were there getting what kind of answer? No, he's not ready. And this went on for many years. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I respect the decision of the authority, and it helped me to develop. I think that it helped me to develop one of the required items related to becoming successful in spiritual life, which is determination. Okay, many years waiting, but I was not even interested in becoming initiated, because my connection with Lord Chaitanya's movement is not about formality.
Yeah,
I'm not. I don't. I don't like. I like Lord Chaitanya's. I serve Lord Chaitanya's movement not because of the gaining, motivated by gaining what material designations. I don't. I just love it, and I'm not expecting anything in return. That was always my mood. Serving without expecting anything in return, even initiation. So this quality of the qualities of patience, determination, humility were there being developed by my authorities of ISKCON, and I thank them for that. I thank them for that, because I was not. And I don't see how we can harmonize my particular case with this, with the fact that ISKCON does make people wait 2 to 3 years to become initiated. You already told me that you think it's too much time.
Yeah, that's my personal view. It's too long. It's too long, and it can. I mean, back when Srila Prabhupada was physically on the planet, my understanding was that, I mean, also Prabhupada was the only initiating guru in ISKCON at the time, and he couldn't physically be everywhere in the world. So often he wouldn't meet his new disciple or new follower. You know, he'd write a letter to the temple president, he'd send the name and the beads. So Prabhupada actually never kind of physically was there all the time anyway, in terms of initiation. Certainly in the UK, Prabhupada had around, I think, 300 disciples. And, you know, one or two of them have told me that they never actually met him, or they literally just walked past, or Prabhupada walked past them at Bhaktivedanta Manor, and that was it. So Prabhupada, you know, it had to be different back then. But certainly my personal view is that 2 years is far too long. And we have to remember that the root meaning of the word initiation, kind of in terms of language, English language, means to initiate, to start.
Prabhu, if I may ask, how much time would you recommend for a candidate to wait related to getting initiated? How much time would you recommend? Do you have it?
You're putting me okay. You're putting me on the mark here. I'd say it's really important to have a relationship with your guru, the guru who's going to give you initiation. Ultimately, that's different for every candidate. That's different for every prospective disciple. I would probably say, if I was to meet my prospective guru today and I felt it was the right guru, I'd say 6 months, probably. It's like, I don't know, falling in love and getting married, isn't it? You know, if it's the right one for you. Some people get married after 4 weeks. Some people get married after 2 or 3 years. It's different for everyone. I think, you know, 6 months maybe, but ultimately it has to be different for every person. And if the relationship, if the relationship is meant to be eternal between the disciple and the guru, then you could say, you know, you'll know straight away if they're the right one for you. Can we talk a bit about your relationship maybe with Srila Narayan Maharaj? So you're saying that you never actually met him.
No. This devotee from England arranged everything, and very quickly it happened that Mother Jadurani in Birmingham, she presided the initiation ceremony in one of the mats in Birmingham related to the female servants of Narayan Maharaj in England, that I do not remember the name. And the ceremony, the initiation ceremony, was presided by Jadurani Mataji, which got the nickname Shyamarani Mataji given by Narayan Maharaj.
Yeah.
So Maharaj was in India. Jadurani Mataji was in Birmingham, presided the ceremony. Many other devotees were being initiated, and I got my initiation how? Via Skype, being in Madeira Island via Skype. And I heard Narayan Maharaj saying my name. So your name is Vijaya Krishna Das, and that was it. My physical contact with Narayan Maharaj was it. I heard him speaking via Skype my initiation name, and Shyamarani Mataji, as the president of the ceremony, repeated it. The ceremony was ended, and I started my service I started to establish in Madeira Island the temple. We have a farm community in Madeira Island. And after establishing the farm community in Madeira Island, we came to Azores and we established this temple. And my connection with Narayan Maharaj, I think that what is important to say is that immediately after becoming initiated, I sensed it while I was still preaching in Madeira Island, I sensed it what is the word in English? Well, like saying as such, the connection is for good. I never sensed it before, and it amazes me that how is it possible to be connected with a spiritual person without being in his presence, without being in his physical presence. So this is the way I can explain the best in relation to how I feel my connection with Narayan Maharaj. It happened in this way since the initiation moment until now. What I feel is that I am connected with. How is it possible to be connected with a spiritual personality when I am not in his physical presence? Because, as you know, Narayan Maharaj already left his body. But even when he was present on the planet, after he gave me initiation, he stayed on the planet only for 1 year or 2 years more. Then he left his body. But the connection is permanent and palpable. Related to, I dare to say, like a child being walked by the hand of the father, related to the father wanting the child to guiding the steps of the child. I do feel that I am hand in hand with him in relation to for example, this meeting that is happening right now, it is due to how he wants for me to develop spiritually. It never happened again that now that I am alone, like I was alone before being initiated. Yes, I was in the association of devotees, but this is the process of Krishna consciousness is really scientific, because the connection with the guru, when the guru is genuine and bona fide, really is so powerful in relation to connect you with in the ultimate sense what Krishna wants you to do. In the ultimate sense, what Krishna wants you to do, because sooner or later, because this is what the relationship between disciple and guru is all about. The guru is teaching you about what Krishna wants you to do, and I feel it in the theoretical way, but also in a very intense way in the practical way. I feel that my steps in Krishna consciousness, while I'm walking on the path back home, back to Godhead, are being guided by my spiritual master. In what way? Like walking with him hand in hand. I am being the one who needs to learn what to do and how to do it, and he's telling me how to do it and what to do. I have this palpable feeling that I'm not alone, and this is very gives me lots of comfort, because to walk on the path back home, back to Godhead alone, without the help of a spiritual master, I don't think it is possible to happen. I think it doesn't exist. Unless you have the help of a spiritual master, the walking on the path back home, back to Govit, I don't think it happens like by yourself without a guru. When Krishna chants to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, go to a guru, find about the truth, serve him and inquire from him submissively. He will tell you the truth, and the truth is that everything belongs to me, and all the parts and parcels are mine, in the sense that I want them to act in this way, if they choose to serve me. And the need for a spiritual master is part of the process.
Prabhuji, can we talk a bit now about your service now, what you do, your role as temple president? Tell us a bit about the mission in Portugal, or the Portuguese territories. Tell us a bit about what the International Pure Bhakti Yoga Society is doing in your temple and the kind of services you provide for the public.
Well, we have the temple in Azores. The farm community, for the farm community, we have a president, and it's a different project.
Okay.
The temple allows us to preach in the city, door to door, with Srila Prabhupada's books also. At the moment, we do not have Narayana Maharaj's books with us for book distribution, but we have books from English PBT were sent to us recently. Small books, medium books, big books.
And I love, just to say, I love that. I love the fact that, for me, I wish all the mats would work together or work more closely together on, not all the time, but certainly sometimes. And I love the fact that you're distributing Srila Prabhupada's books at the end of 2020. The pandemics mean that meeting hasn't happened so much, but I remember going to a Narayan Maharaj program in London at the end of 2020, and they were distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, not Narayan Maharaj's books, which I just find very interesting. So I'm also intrigued that you're doing the same thing, because the BB ISKCON is one of the things that ISKCON does well is it's very organized in terms of producing books, distributing prasadam, so I'm just very encouraged to hear that.
Yes, because I was raised by ISKCON. I started my connection with Lord Chaitanya's movement in 1975. I was raised by ISKCON until 2010.
Wow.
So and I think that it is my moral duty to go on being connected with ISKCON as much and as best as possible. Also in relation to offering service whenever they need. And I like ISKCON. I love ISKCON. I love Srila Prabhupada. I love Srila Prabhupada's books. They're part of my spiritual daily life. I go for Srimad Bhagavatam daily discussions online with different ISKCON sanghas. So my connection with ISKCON is very strong, and I want for it to be strong, because I don't think we can afford to reject any possibility related to becoming engaged in service. That's what we are. That is our constitutional position. We are, by constitution, we are servants. So whenever a genuine possibility for service manifests in your life, you take it. It doesn't matter if it is ISKCON or any other. If it is related to, in a very genuine way, to Lord Chaitanya's movement, I think you should take it. Because who knows when death will come? You can die at any moment. And if a genuine opportunity for service to Lord Chaitanya movement comes to you, you take it because that can save you from the worst, which is losing your the human form of life in your next life. So we need to be practical. Okay, I'll give you my daily schedule. In the morning, we have the temple open for anyone to come for morning program from 3 a.m. To 8-9 a.m. We have and we follow we connect ourselves with the morning program of Bhakti Vedanta manner. Because I really appreciate what Mother Fishaka is doing in Bhakti Vedanta manner. When I heard for the first time that she was moving, I think from the United States of America, because she was invited to come to Bhakti Vedanta manner in order to serve there as a senior devotee. I went to check. And I see differences and betterments happening, and the association with Bhaktivedanta manner inspires me. And I like the house. I like the size of the temple room, accommodating many devotees, the kirtans, many devotees dancing and chanting, because we don't have it here in Azores. This is the only temple. We don't have, I am the only devotee in the temple, living in the temple. So I need association. So and Bhaktivedanta morning program is very helpful. So we put the computer in the temple room. The Bhaktivedanta manner morning program is happening. It's being broadcasted in our temple room. Anyone from the city where we live and preach can come. The doors of the temple are open. So from 3 a.m. until 9 a.m., breakfast, prasad included, we open for the public. Then we go out for book distribution, door to door, in order to maintain because this is a rented house, adapted for being a temple. We have to pay the rent, and we have also a rented car. So we go for book distribution, door to door. We come back for the online sanghas organized by ISKCON Denver, ISKCON San Diego, and ISKCON Hawaii. We have 3 sanghas related to daily discussion of Srimad Bhagavatam online. And we offer this to the public. Anyone can come and participate. They bring their computers and they can enter the Zoom Sangha. And they can participate. Then we go for lunch. And then we have the evening.
Yeah.
Usually I go for 1 hour, 2 hours in the evening. 1 hour only in the evening for book distribution again. And we come back for the evening program, also open to the public. Arctic, Bhagavad Gita class and prasada, and this is what we do here.
And so the team, how many of you are in the team there? How many active devotees do you have at the temple or near the temple?
I am the only one residing in the temple.
Okay. Yeah.
And people coming to the programs. The maximum 2.
So you've got 3 of you doing everything. I mean, do you cook the prasadam as well as host the Zoom? You know, you do everything by the signs of it.
Yes, I do everything. But the other 2 One is the temple president of the farm community in Madeira. He's not always here because he has the Madeira project to run.
Yeah.
And the other devotee, he doesn't come often because he works. He has a full-time job. It's difficult for him to come to the morning program. And when he comes to the evening program. The morning program, I do it alone with Bhaktivedanta Mera.
Wow.
We do not yet have a congregation.
So just, I mean, this is my ignorance. I've never been to the Azores Islands or know much about it. How many people live on these islands or are there?
So yes, that is a good question. The Azores Islands are 9 islands, and I am living and preaching in the biggest of the islands, São Miguel, Saint Michael's, and in this island, if I'm not wrong, over 100,000.
Okay.
Because it is a big island, different locations, different towns. Yes, over 100,000 people.
Okay. I mean, compared to the UK, that's the size of a small city. The city I live in is around 90,000 people. It's considered a small city. Okay. I'm conscious of the time, Prabhuji. We've been chatting for almost an hour and a half, believe it or not.
My God.
I know time flies when you're chatting about Krishna, and so I mean, it's been great to have you on the podcast and to understand more about your journey and your background. And I find it personally quite refreshing and encouraging to meet devotees that are, you know, keen for all different devotees to work together, chant together, serve together. And I mean, do you visit, I mean, before the pandemic, did you visit the UK much at all, or Europe?
Yes, before the pandemic. Yes, I went to different temples in different countries, but the place which gave me more strength, spiritual strength, it was ISKCON Soho, London. Yes, my experience in ISKCON Soho was very helpful. In a way, more helpful than Bhaktivedanta Manor when I was visiting, because I visited Bhaktivedanta Manor in a time when I think I went there only for a weekend. And I didn't go there for the morning programs, daily morning program. But in ISKCON Soho, I visited for 2 weeks at least, or every day, each single day I would be there for the morning program. So the experience was more spiritually sustaining. And I liked it very much to be. I went for Food for Life. I went for Harinam with them. So I visited Radadesh in Belgium. I visited different temples in Spain. I helped the pujaris in ISKCON Paris for almost a year. So I traveled. I think I went to the right places before the pandemic. I went to the right places in order to understand that Krishna consciousness can be established. It is a very simple process. You don't need too much of this or that in order to establish a preaching center, a temple. You like Srila Prabhupada would say, you go and establish a temple alone, and then the people will come. And here is a little more difficult because people here are very Catholic. The preaching in the island, this is not, I know that UK is an island, but it's not, the Azores Islands are not like the UK island. It's different.
It's certainly a lot different in size to start with. I mean, the UK has around 68 million people living here.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So of course, you cannot expect from the Azores Island to have devotional congregations of the size of London and other places in the UK, where there is a very large community of Indian people also.
I mean, I don't know the stats for every single country in Europe, but the UK has a lot of people of Indian heritage or Indian descent. A lot, linked to the British Empire and India, and so there's currently around 1.5 million people in the UK that are Indian or of Indian heritage. And you go to parts of London, the Gujarati community is huge. It's strategically placed near Bhaktivedanta Manor as a very large Gujarati community. I mean, it's so large when candidates stand in the general election, they also deliver the leaflets in Gujarati as well as English, because you have a whole street of Gujaratis. They're keen to get your vote. So yeah, and certainly in Birmingham and Manchester, there's big Indian community, also in Edinburgh and Scotland as well. Yeah, I mean, the UK is quite a mixed community. Prabhuji,
yes, it's time.
It's been really good to have you as the guest on this week's podcast.
But one thing, before we end, one thing I need to tell you. Lord Chaitanya's movement is predicted to spread worldwide during the next 10,000 years.
Yeah.
And the Azores Islands are 9 islands. And I think there is a connection between the fact that the Azores Islands are 9 islands and the 9 processes of devotional service. So I have this sooner or later, in relation to the golden age of Lord Chaitanya's movement, Azores archipelago will contribute to Lord Chaitanya's movement in a very prominent way. I think that the fact that we are 9 islands is like a sign related to how efficiently the contribution is going to be, how efficient is going to be sooner or later. I have this. Okay, today we do not have a congregation, but I think that the fact that we are 9 islands is related to sooner or later being there with the offering of very important and useful service to Lord Chaitanya's movement. Maybe in the near future, I have this feeling that I am in the right place as a pioneer, establishing the movement door to door, and it attracts me, the fact that this is a set of 9 islands, and it reminds me the 9 processes of devotional service. So I have the feeling that Lord Chaitanya has something very, very unique related to the development of his movement in these 9 islands, and from these 9 islands to be offered to the rest of the world. I don't know if it is going to be, maybe it will happen after I die, after I leave my body, but I am as faithful as such that we are doing pioneer service in related to very prominent service to be offered to the world at large, because we are 9 islands. I think it is a sign.
I like your enthusiasm and your optimism. A man of great faith, expression we don't often use in Gaudiya Vaishnavism, but it's good to have faith. Vijaya Krsna dasa, Prabhuji, it's been fantastic to have you on this week's edition of the Hare Krishnas in Britain podcast. And thank you for following the channel on Facebook, and being one of our supporters. Yeah, and I love your enthusiasm for devotees working together, chanting together, serving together. I feel a little bit sad that it took 25 years for you to take initiation in that formal sense in the end, even though I don't have to apologize for that. It's nothing to do with me. I just feel sad that it took 25 years, but you sound like a very faithful and loyal servant to Srila Narayan Maharaj, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yes, Prabhu, thank you for having me, and I wish you all good fortune to you and your preaching project. And anything you need from the Azores Yatra, it would be a privilege to offer service you need, okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Really appreciate it. So I'm just going to say goodbye to all the listeners, and then you and I can chat after. So thank you, everyone, for joining us in this week's edition, and we'll see you next week. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.